What are the long-term options for Manchester United in terms of a permanent manager?
Looks like they're going to wait until the summer before appointing someone on a permanent basis. Now, on the face of it, that would seem to be the smart thing to do because so many managers are going to become potentially available. If you look ahead to next summer, who could be out of contract? You're looking at names like Thomas Tuchel, Marco Silva, Oliver Glasner, Maurizio Pochettino, Didier Deschamps, Roberto Martinez, Carlo Ancelotti. So all these names potentially could be available. But the big question is, would they want to come to Manchester United? Would they want to come and fit into the structure that United have in place? Also, what kind of job would they be walking into? Would United be in Europe? Would United be in the Champions League? Which leads to the second question for United, which is the most important question at the moment, is who is going to take over until the end of the season? And when you look around, there are not that many options. If Darren Fletcher's only going to do the job for one game, someone else is going to need to come in. Who could it be? Potentially you're looking at somebody like Michael Carrick. Who else is available? I don't know. People are talking about Xavi. People are talking about Zinedine Zidane. I can't see that happening at all. They're not going to come in and work at United. Well, Zidane under the present sort of structure, and I don't think United would be interested in him either. What about Enzo Maresca? He's somebody who is, a head coach. Potentially he's available if he can sort out his contractual issues with Chelsea. But then he has talked to Manchester City about potentially one day taking over from Pep Guardiola. So it is a confusing picture. There are no easy answers at the moment. I can understand why United want to wait until the summer. But the other issue is if you wait until the summer, if you're talking about managers who are managing in the World Cup, they are not going to become available potentially until the middle of July. And that is going to be when United will be, in a couple of weeks later, starting their pre-season training. The transfer window will have been open. So that is complicated as well. Look, I think the United hierarchy have got their work cut out to find the next head coach or the next manager. And look, judging by the track record, it hasn't been great in recent times because since Sir Alex Ferguson left 12 years ago, they keep appointing managers and changing managers when people keep saying what you need at a club is stability. If you keep chopping and changing the manager, it's not going to get you anywhere.
It's a very good video. I think you can get it online. It's one that's been floating around for about 15 years that Bobby Charlton talks about what Manchester United is as a football club. And I've always been very proud of what that club is. Adventurous, exciting football, playing young players, entertaining the crowd, those fans that pay to come in, that are basically looking for some relief from their job at a weekend and want their entertaining Saturday. Manchester United must take risks and be courageous and play with attacking, aggressive football. There is a brilliant video from Bobby Charlton describing that. Manchester United have got to appoint a manager that fits the DNA of their football club. Ajax will never change for anybody. Barcelona will never change for anybody. I don't believe Manchester United should change for anybody. They should play the way in which they play. And these managers that have come in are fantastic managers. Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, Eric Ten Hag, Ruben Amorim, they're brilliant coaches. You can't say they're not good coaches, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but they've all come in with different ideas, different styles of play, different philosophies, and none of them really fit the Manchester United way. So for me, the club have to find a manager now who's got experience, who's willing to play fast, entertaining, attacking, aggressive football. Simple as that.
Yeah, Paul Tisdale has also left his position as head of football operations. You mentioned deep issues at the club. Does this kind of highlight just how deep they are?
Yeah, absolutely. He's he's self-proclaimed doctor, Dr. Doolittle. I think he was at Celtic. Nobody knew what he actually was doing at the club. By all accounts, it was a case of him who had a large say in bringing Wilfred Nancy in. If he was in charge of recruitment over the summer, that was particularly poor. So, I think it's the right decision for him to part ways, but it certainly puts Celtic under pressure now in having to move quick in terms of recruitment, because there's absolutely no doubt that this squad needs strengthening in January and strengthening quickly. And then, of course, what happens next? Will it be a return for Martin O'Neill? Will Sean Maloney be part of that team. I suspect he will be, but it's all about Celtic just concentrating on winning the Scottish Premiership now, and of course it looks like it's going to be a 3-horse race in that respect. But I think that the decision today was the right decision. Maybe myself, like a lot of Celtic fans, just thought it would happen after the game against Rangers. It didn't, but they've been decisive enough, the club have.
You spoke at length about Amorim on your show last night, saying he was in no position to challenge the club's hierarchy. They clearly felt the same. What do you make of the news?
Yeah, I mean, listen, a little bit similar to Maresca in that I think what we're seeing now in football is sporting directors now are the most powerful people at football clubs. And, if a manager, steps out of line, certainly publicly, and criticises, the powers that be or the people above them, it's going to have consequences. And listen, I think that's probably the same in sort of most jobs, really. So not surprised. Maybe the timing of coming so quickly, because it's not an ideal time, I think, for anybody to change a manager. With so many games coming thick and fast. But I think it just shows now where the game's going in terms of, the sporting directors at Chelsea and Manchester United and probably other clubs now up and down the country. They're not accepting a manager, certainly, criticising the club or making cryptic comments in public.
Yeah, we do understand things came to a head in a meeting with Director of Football Jason Wilcox when he reacted badly to feedback about his tactics pretty quickly, as you said, just last week. Do you have any sympathy for Amorim?
Not really. No, I think listen, he's done a brilliant job at Sporting Lisbon, and he looked like a bright young sort of manager who could go on to great things. Manchester United, the people who are there right now gave him a great opportunity to manage one of the biggest and best football clubs in the world, and it couldn't have gone much worse in terms of results. So I don't have too much sympathy, and that's why I was so critical of him last night on extra time, because basically the people who'd given him the opportunity, he hadn't sort of fulfilled their sort of ambitions in what he was going to do, for the football club. So they could have easily taken a decision a lot earlier than this to change the manager, maybe even at the end of last season on the back of the Europa League final. It was such a poor performance. It wasn't just about the results. And when you look at the league table with the 17 ever-present teams that have been part of the Premier League since Amorim's come in, I think Manchester United are 14th or 15th in that table. So, I mean, and that tells its own story.